Hi, everybody. Let me take this off. My name is Mike Thomas, and I'm going to be directing traffic for this event today. Yeah, just as a preview of what's coming, I had to step up on a little stool to be in the shot. Let's go through a few ground rules. Everyone is muted, and if you could please place your screen in speaker view, we'd really appreciate it. Second, we're recording this session. If you like a copy of the recording, please get in touch with us after we finished. Third, we'll be taking questions once Mayor Sellers has finished his remarks. If you'd like to ask a question, please put a message into the chat saying that you would like to do so. You don't have to put down what your question is, but we would like to do them in order. So we'd appreciate it if people would put their request to ask a question in the chat. The way this is going to have to work, everyone right now is a general guest. When it comes time to ask your question, we'll have to promote you to a panelist so that you can ask it. We'll, as I said, be doing it in the order that people put their request in the chat. When you ask your question, this is the fourth point. When you ask your question, we'd ask that you please start by saying your name and identifying the outlet that you work for. I'll be back after the mayor finishes to help facilitate the question and answer process. With that, it's my pleasure to introduce Lonnie Coleman, who will kick us off today. Lonnie.
Thank you very much, Mike. And thanks everyone for attending. As you notice, as we go through this, there will be a progression in height as we go along. I'm Lonnie Coleman, president of Coleman Spine Corporation, a fully integrated provider of engineering, fabrication, construction, and maintenance solutions with offices in Cleveland, Columbus, and St. Louis. It's my honor to have been asked by Mayor Sellers to welcome you to today's event. I've known Mayor Sellers for a long time. I hired Brad out of high school, and I remember it clearly, partly because Mayor Sellers is hard to forget, and partly because of everything he's accomplished since then, but primarily because of how hard we had to work to find a uniform that fit him. Can you imagine trying to fit a 7-footer into a 6-footer's uniform? Can you imagine that picture? Not pretty. I knew Brad was something special when I met him. I watched him excel as an athlete from high school through the pros. When his basketball career ended, Brad could have gone anywhere in the world. I can't tell you how proud I was with him when he chose to come back home, and how lucky we are to have him. What Mayor Sellers has done in Warrensville Heights is genuinely remarkable. It's a story that hasn't received nearly the attention it deserves, but it is a story that makes him perfect for the opportunity we are here today to discuss. It's my pleasure to introduce my friend, a real game changer, Mayor Brad Sellers.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Lonnie, for that kind introduction. You know, you've been with me my entire adult life, and I appreciate you being here with me today. I also welcome and thank the members of the media who are joining us this afternoon. And I'd like to recognize and thank members of my entire family who are joining us from all over the country. Sydney from Aurora, Sierra from Kentucky, Shayla from Purdue, Cheyenne from Maryland, Marvin from Columbus, and Zach from Cleveland. Bringing people together over Zoom for something like this is less than ideal. But with our local hospitals banding together to ask for help in the face of the Omicron variant, out of abundance of caution, it would have been irresponsible to meet face-to-face. Luckily, we have a great small business here in Warrensville Heights, New Image Media, whose owner, Steve Petty, graciously offered to host us. His team, led by Matt Barker, put the tech together for today. As you know, I grew up in Warrensville Heights. My parents gave me the grounding to know what's right. The Warrensville Heights schools gave me a sense of what I might be able to accomplish. And the game of basketball took me around this entire world. I left Warrensville Heights in 1981 to learn how to be the person I wanted to become, going first to the University of Wisconsin in Madison, then to the Ohio State University, and following to the NBA, competing with Hall of Fame players. Eventually, I played basketball all over the globe. Spain, France, Greece, and Israel during a time when this world was scrambling to adjust to the collapse of the Soviet Union. It was an education. One of the most important things I learned from that time was no matter how big the challenge was, good things can happen anywhere as long as good people are willing to work with each other to make them happen. I saw it everywhere I went. So when my time as a professional athlete ended 20 years after I left, I decided to come back to Warrensville Heights. Things happen here at home, and I've been working at it ever since. The first 11 years as Warrensville Heights Economic Development Director, and for the last decade plus as its mayor. Today, I'm announcing my candidacy for Cuyahoga County Executive. I'm running for County Executive for the same reason I came back and for the same reason I ran for mayor, to make good things, important things happen for Cuyahoga County. Cuyahoga County residents want, need, and deserve more good things happening for them and should expect a county government that can get the job done. We've been getting the job done in Warrensville Heights, even though many people said we couldn't. When I first started as Economic Development Director, I heard the same thing over and over again. No one wants a Warrensville Heights address. I never really understood where they were coming from. You see, Warrensville Heights isn't a big community. We have just over 13,000 people living in a little more than 4 square miles. We also are in a wealthy community. Our median household income is a third lower than the Cuyahoga County average. And we don't have the benefit of long-standing cultural institutions with a century of history and the economic resources to match. In some people's eyes, the only civic asset we had in Warrensville Heights was that we were close to 2 freeways, which is really the furthest thing from the truth. What Warrensville Heights is a solid community made up of real people with real hopes and real challenges. People just trying to live out the American dream, just like everyone else. Another thing I learned playing with and against some of the best athletes in the world is that people often defeat themselves before they ever step foot on the court. It's the same message I share with my 4 daughters. It happens to the best of us. If you start with the word can't in your head, you've already lost. In Warrensville Heights, while others were saying can't, we saw opportunities. It has led us to adding more than 3,000 new jobs and more than $500 million in construction projects. That's not bad for a city of 13,000 people. To make good things happen in Warrensville Heights, we changed the game. We aimed high, no half-stepping, and no settling for mediocrity. You either have to aim for what you really want as a community or get ready to settle for being disappointed. And we brought everyone in on the dream. We built a community-wide team that took inspiration and good ideas from everywhere we found them. And of course, we put in the work, and there has been a lot of it. And we built the trust between the community and its government. We held each other accountable for delivering at the level that we promised. Changing the game worked, and it's continuing to work. It's worked for companies like New Image Media and its owner, Steve Petty, who have graciously agreed to host this announcement. Changing the game has worked for rebuilding Warrensville Heights schools. Our city is in the middle of a $110 million capital project to transform its schools, with roughly $80 million coming from a bond issue passed by voters. That's a big investment, bigger than many larger, more wealthy communities have been willing to make. But once our residents saw that they could trust our city's leaders to deliver at the level they promised, they took on the additional expense because it would change the game for their kids and their future. And changing the game has worked for the families that are now choosing to move to Warrensville Heights. They see things are happening, the kind of city we're working to create, and they now want what the naysayers said nobody wanted, a Warrensville Heights address. I've been working to apply lessons about changing the game for Cuyahoga County in many different ways. Through the First Suburbs Consortium, the Convention Center, the Cuyahoga County Planning Commission, the Land Bank, and the Greater Cleveland Sports Commission. But we have to change the game all across Cuyahoga County. And the place to make that happen is in the county's executive office. We are facing a unique opportunity at a critical time and can't be allowed to hold Cuyahoga County back. Our county has big, pressing challenges that have to be addressed, including the need for a new jail, questions about the airport, and the need to put our lakefront to the best possible use. And as COVID-19 and the opioid crisis have reminded us over the recent years, the county has a huge role in keeping us healthy and providing vital human services. We have to face these issues head on and aim high so we try to solve them. But our vision can't be just about big businesses, big development projects, and big institutions. We have to catalyze good things everywhere. I mean, in all 59 of Cuyahoga County's cities, villages, and townships. We can't lose sight that the real work is not on the first floor and not in the penthouse. Making sure our efforts work for everyone, making sure people's days are a little easier and giving them the hope and the help to make their lives better. I believe that public service and public leadership are about delivering for the people, and that's the mission. As Warrensville Heights mayor, every day I go to work happy because I get to deliver for the people. I'm running for county executive for the opportunity to deliver for all of Cuyahoga County, and I'd be honored to have your support. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. We will be taking questions now from panelists who are part of the chat. If folks could give me, if you bear with us for just a second, we're a little new at doing this Zoom thing as a press conference. We're gonna get a name for the first question in just a second here. Who's up first? We have a question. Nick Castell, I think you're up first. Let's see if we can get you promoted here to a panelist and get you up on the screen.
All right, I think I'm here. Thanks.
Oh, good.
Thanks so much for doing this, Mayor Sellers. Thanks for making the time. So I know the first. Good afternoon. I know the first, the first hurdle here in this race will be the party's endorsement vote later on this month. Do you think that you have the support of the county Democratic Party right now, or what are you doing in the next couple of weeks to get that support?
Well, what I can tell you I'm doing is I'm outreach to the members of the party, doing the work that's necessary behind the scenes to try to just introduce myself to those who don't know me, reintroduce myself to people that know me, and just put another viewpoint on the table. You know, I've been, Nick, as you know, I've been in this game almost 22 years, right? And so been an avid member of the party, and I'm gonna work to try to get the endorsement. But I tell you what, it's a great opportunity for this county, right? It's a unique opportunity for this county. I wanna make sure that I'm at the table when the discussion is being held.
Nick, did you have a follow-up or? Are you good? Or did we just lose you? Oh, okay. Thank you, Nick. I think next up is Jane Kaufman from the Jewish News. Jane? Well, Mayor, we're having a little trouble connecting with Jane, but the question.
There's
Oh, there you
there's
go.
Jane
Okay,
right
great.
there.
Thank you.
Hi, Jane.
Hi.
How are
Nice
you?
to see you and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. My question is, what are your top 3 priorities and why?
Well, first of all, let me tell you my top 3 priorities probably are in this order. First of all, getting a handle on everything that Cuyahoga County is about, making sure that one, we continue to realize that it is the biggest safety net, is the biggest job of this county, making sure that we shore up those services there. Secondly, I think getting out here and promoting the work in all 59 communities is important, right? Sometimes people forget that this county is so big and so diverse that many get left out, right? Well, I tell you, as a person sitting from the outside in, I have a different perspective, right? And I think that we need a healthy balance around here that keeps everybody on level playing field, right? And so that's one of my issues. And then obviously one of the biggest things that's floating around here is we have to resolve the jail situation downtown. We have to, right? And let me just be clear and consistent. It's a development project, but it's more than building blocks, steel. It's more than that. When you have a jail, the people are in your care, right? And so there's a responsibility for that. And we have to plan and develop accordingly. And so I think that there's obviously dialogue between not only the county, but the city. No matter what city facility is going in, there has to be an understanding of what's to be expected. A lot of places throughout the county have transitioned their own jails into the county jail, and we have to have an understanding of what the projections look like going forward. And also, I'll just tell you this, there in this discussion, you know, there's ample room to talk about reform too, right? I think we have a unique opportunity here to really get it right. So I'm pleased to be able to be a part of it right now. And so I'm going to continue to work to see that all voices are heard.
May I ask a follow-up question?
Sure.
How do you feel that your background puts you in a position to deal with race?
All right. So let me say this, that I think I'm in a unique position, right? Because obviously, you know, I grew up in a African-American community, but I'm embedded in the suburbs here, right? So I have many friends on both sides of the river here. I've got people on the west side, people on the east side. And the game of sports throughout years has created many friendships here, right? I can't tell you the number of people that have been calling me here since this word hit the street that I might be doing, right? And so it's a blessing because we have an opportunity here. And I think they look at me as a neutral broker because here, I'm not an outsider. I grew up here. This is my home, right? I could have easily stayed in Chicago, right? But I said, no, take those services back home where the people invested in me at a very early age, right? I remember Lonnie Coleman at 18, putting a uniform on me and take me into NASA and say, you're going to work at NASA. And then when you get out of here, you got to get out of here and then you'll come back till you learn something. And so I learned something, right? And so now I take that experience and come back here. I've been in Warrensville for 22 years. And let me just tell you this. There is no job out here that's equivalent to mayor. Let me tell you why. As mayor, you're on the first floor. The first floor. People need immediate response. You have to have that touch feel here. It's not removed. You can't be up on the 17th floor. The action is down on the first floor, right? And I say, when I look at the Cuyahoga County Executive office, it's more similar to the mayor of the county than anything else, right? There's some planning and development work in there, but that's not all the work. You got to understand jails. You got to understand everything else, human services, response time, infrastructure work. And I can tell you as more than 10 plus years as mayor and 11 years as economic development director, there's never been a better lesson taught to anybody. So I'm very skilled at what I do, right? And as Lonnie said in his open remark, if you came to Warrensville and just looked around and saw where we went from in 2001 to where we are in 2022, it's an amazing story.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks, Jane. Next up, we have Sam Allard from SEAM. So if we could promote Sam. Oh, and we're coming.
Mayor Sellers, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Sam, I hear you good.
Great. I was wondering, Mayor Sellers, if you could be a little bit more specific about what motivated you to seek this office. Was there an incident or something that really made you make up your mind to go for it?
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked that. Let me tell you why I jumped in here, right? So at the behest of my own family, my daughters really pushing me to start thinking about the 22 years I've had in service here and what I've learned. Could I offer something better to the community? And I think when the opening came about, when the County Executive Budish announced that he was not seeking another term, that's when it really became in the forefront for me, right? And the question really came to myself, do I hold the information and knowledge and skill that I've learned in these 22 years for myself? Or do I get out and invest it back in the place that invested in me? That's really what pushed me, right? This thing is not about, if you know me, it's not about being directed or pushed by anyone. If anyone who really knows me, they know you can't push me to do a thing. I can't walk across the street unless I want to, right? And I have to feel like it's the right thing to do. And I just say now, this is the right time because there's so many things out here that I feel that we could be doing so much better, right? And then as a mayor sitting here and seeing the things that happen and don't happen, right? And the reasons why they do and why they do not, I just felt like there's an experience that I can bring to the table that I don't think many others hold.
And can I have a follow-up as well?
Sure.
So right now, barring any other entries, it looks like it'll be you versus Chris Ronay in the Democratic primary. At this early juncture, how do you compare yourself with Chris? What do you see as your strengths compared to him, or how do you relate to him as a candidate?
Well, so let me say that, I know Chris, I consider Chris a friend, right? And so I would just say this, and I've been telling people this for the last couple of days, right? How I grew up, competition is not a bad thing. It only makes you better, right? It proves who can get it done and proves who can't get it done, right? It should show that, right? And it's not a bad thing. It doesn't have to be adversarial, right? Chris, I believe, has a set of experiences, right? And they're unique to Chris. They're different from what I do. I go to work every day. I have to answer the bell 24/7, right? 24/7, I answer that bell, right? Some days good, some days bad, right? But you have to deal with them and you have to resolve them because people need immediate response, right? And it's different. Planning, doing projects, economic development, 11 plus years doing it. I know it well, right? I had to do it without the benefit of additional dollars coming in here. The things we did out in Warrensville, we did them out from the ground up, right? Just getting people to believe in a vision, people from the outside to do a public investment in a place like Warrensville to grow here. That's how we grew this place, right? And so I would just tell you this, that the experiences, Sam, that I bring here, they're far different than Chris, far different than Chris.
Great, thank you.
I think we have another question, Mayor, from Jordan Vandenberg from News Channel 5.
Mayor, can you hear me?
I hear you fine. Jordan, how
Awesome.
are you?
I'm excellent, sir.
WEWS in the building.
I appreciate your time. Just a few minutes ago, you said there's so many things that I think we can do better. And I kind of wanted to follow up on that. What are some of those things that you think the county can do better?
Well, one, the county, let me tell you what the county is. If I can put in sports terminology, right? There are 59 members on the team. The county, if we're talking about basketball, the county is the point guard. The point guard's position is to make sure everybody gets in place and we deliver the ball so people can finish the play and score and do the things necessary to make the team successful. That means a little bit to this side, a little bit to the other side. Everybody gets to play in the game, right? And so what has to happen? We have to maintain that type of mentality that the county is just the orchestrator. The county can't do everything. The county has to rely in partnership with these townships, villages, and cities to get projects done, right? But what we have to do is scale it, right? We have to see in the greater overall package what are most important to get done first, because there's going to be a tier, right? Really a tier of those that need to get done immediately, those that are in the pipeline, and then those that are coming along. Doesn't make them any less important. It's about being strategic, right? Because the county does not have unlimited resources, but it has an arm and a tool within itself to help be a catalyst for the region. Now, we have to assume that position. And I'll just tell you this, it's not a de facto position. You're at the table at the front, right? Because they're looking for you because the county is such a huge monstrosity in the state. It is, right? And we have to leverage that also, but in doing projects and things of that nature, you got to deliver on those health and human services. You have to, right? That's the backbone here, right? And I would tell you that there's room for improvement. It's not denigrating anybody. There is room for improvement. And if you've ever been caught up in the system, right, you know what I'm talking about, right? And so I'd say again, Jordan, I just think I bring a different perspective because I've lived on both sides, right? I've lived in affluent places. I've lived in so not affluent places, right? And along the way, my parents, which my brothers can attest to, held us accountable, period. Even when you ran into hard times, you hold yourself accountable. And that's what I've continued to do here. And I can just tell you, I think the people in Warrensville Heights, they've realized that and have enjoyed my tenure here as mayor. So, you know, I'm still making sure that we get the job done here, just as I see going forward in Cuyahoga County. There's a chance for moving forward.
Jordan, did you have another question or we cover it?
Nope. I'm good. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you,
Great.
Jordan.
We had one more question that came into the chat.
So it's all right. So to Larissa's question, and first of all, Larissa is an astute businessman in this city, right? Astute, and I'll just sprinkle a little bit more. Well, Larissa is also from Warrensville. There are many people from Warrensville around here, right? And so the thing that we do here in Warrensville, we hold each other accountable, right? And the other thing is, we have learned through the years that in order to make the place better, you have to bring everybody to the table. You have to have a representative of just about a cross section of people, so you get a good, diverse conversation as you start to shape anything here, right? And I just think, Larissa, to your question, I'm gonna hold myself accountable that what you see me do here in Warrensville is gonna continue here, because let me just tell you something. There are great people across this county. Great, I see them every day at boards I work on, other jobs, economic development projects, right? With great ideas. You have to open your ears and listen to people, right? And then you assemble a team to figure out what can be done. There's some great things, some great questions that need to be answered here, right? And I just say it again, there's a world of opportunity here for this county to seize upon. We seize upon and we move the place forward. That means everybody else comes and benefits from that, right? And I'm gonna just be honest with you. I think the state of Ohio wants to see Cleveland and Cuyahoga County assume the position that it should have, right? Which is the premier entity in this state, right? But we have to think like that, right? And a lot of times here, what we do is we sometimes go part way and not all the way. And so, you know, if anybody knows me, I'm not a part way guy. I'm gonna do it whatever it takes to go to 100% way, right? Even if it's harder, longer, costs more money, it's all about equity and making sure that in the long run, we don't double back and do things that cost us more in the long run. I want to thank everybody for these questions because it's engaging.
We have a question.
Okay.
Well, this is our last question, Mayor.
Okay.
Believe we have one. It's from Isaac Blair. And he's asking, given the issues with the jail and what alternatives for rehabilitation might you consider, you know, given COVID and mental health issues?
Well, let me tell you something.
I think I
So
hope I did
no,
justice to your
no,
question.
it's a great question. So I hope everyone heard it. So let's talk about what I think about the jail, right? This is an ample and a unique and great opportunity for us to correct something that needs to be corrected, right? But I want to make sure that I'm clear on this. I want to make sure that we shouldn't be doing it short-sighted, right? We should not, right? When we do it, we should do it one time, right? But in doing it one time, if that includes the courts and the jail, I don't think we should be doing anything that does not look at the entire picture for everyone to make sure we have an understanding where we're going. And in that picture, I said it in my speech, right? While we're having a discussion about a project, you can also have a discussion about things like reform, if we want to do that, right? Because the game has changed. COVID has changed everything here, right? Heck, we can't even come out your office, right? But without assembling that, you can't get in too big a crowd, right? So you have to take that into account. And I'll just tell you that even in the jail, when they are a prisoner in the jail, no matter what, they are in your custody, period, right? So there's a duty of care and responsibility that comes with that. And I say it again, there is no one that knows what that feels like except a mayor, period.
Mayor, I spoke a little too soon. There are two more questions, and these will definitely be the last. They're from folks I think you know.
Okay.
The first one is from Mervyn Jones.
Okay.
And he asked what industries can help the county grow.
Let me say this, and I appreciate the question from Mervyn. I think the landscape is bare, right? I think the opportunities for growth in many industries, the tech industry, the medical industry, right? You have to figure about not only the construction industry, but the limited industrial industry is big because one, we have to take care of what we have room for growth, right? We have many places that are prime and ripe for redevelopment, right? And in those redevelopment, because I've seen it here in Warrensville, we've taken people from the neighborhood and put them back to work, right? I just said, you put people back to work, you improve their lifestyles, you improve the family gets stronger, the neighborhood gets strong. I have seen it in 22 years here. And Mervin knows this. When we first came here, I don't think there were many souls that believed it could happen. And then when I started talking about building houses and making affordability, we talk about generational wealth, because I was talking about building houses so that one, not just because we could build houses, so we could push the value of real estate up, because in most jobs, I mean, most instances, the home is going to be the largest generational wealth in a community like mine, right? Home ownership is big, right? Education is big, right? That's why we double down. We double down on housing. We double down on education, because those are the two vital cogs that are going to send people out here. They sent me out of here in 1981. Lonnie kicked me out the door, says time to go, right? Don't come back until you return with some information, right? Took me a while, 20 years of hard knocks lessons, because every step, every year wasn't good. But in those lessons, I'm so grateful for the people that I was able to assemble myself around, because it allowed me to come back home and then have a different viewpoint on what I see could happen here, right? And so I go through, if anybody talks to me, I see things where people don't see them, right? And I see them clearly. Why? Because I've seen them somewhere else, right? I believe there's an opportunity. And I'm not, the other thing you're gonna get out of me, I'm not scared. I'm a competitor. So I would tell you, to anyone in this race, what you're gonna get out of Brad Sellers is a competitor. I'm gonna compete. That's what I'm gonna do, right? That's all I know. That's who I am, right? That's who Robert and Jean Sellers raised, a person that's gonna compete.
Then the last question, Mayor, and I think there's some other questions in the chat. We will make sure to answer all of them after this is over, but we're at our hour, and we want to try to let everybody move on with the rest of their day. But the last question is from Danielle Sidnor. The city of Cleveland, hi Danny. The city of Cleveland has not, and Cuyahoga County have not always worked together. How do you plan on collaborating with the city of Cleveland?
Well, let me tell you something. If you hadn't noticed over the last few months, is to see a change in town here, right? Right? A breath of fresh air about people who have different ideas. Don't make the other people bad. Doesn't make them wrong, right? This is different ideas, right? And I think that the integral part of this is the county and the city of Cleveland, just like the other 58 communities in this thing, they have to collaborate, right? It can't be all stuck on the county to say, okay, county, do all the heavy. No. We're not going to do all the heavy lifting. We're going to help you though. That's what we're going to do, right? And on the other side, from the city of Cleveland, we need outreach to one another, because there are things that we can do together to benefit one another. There's no question on mine. I got about 6 projects in my mind right now that could be done, right? But guess what it takes? It only takes skill, because I said earlier, a lot of smart people in this town. You don't have to know everything. A lot of smart people here that can help you. The other thing is you have to have the willingness and the gumption to believe that it can be different, right? You're talking to that person, right? You know, they run around here now, and I watch the guys in the NBA now. If I was playing back then, I'm making $15 million, right? Right. So what people don't realize, the way they play now, I was the prototype player in 1986 when the Bulls said. The general managers for the Bulls told me, you're going to be, the game is changing, and you're going to be that prototype person. The only problem with being the prototype is nobody to follow you. You're the walking experiment, right? And so in that, there's lessons to be learned, and I just apply that to everything else I do. I think I have a vision. One of the things that I think I hold myself true to, I'm not afraid, and I have a vision to do things where people say you can't have them done, right? And I'll work it until it gets done, right? Some are easier, some are not so easy, but if I think I'm onto a good thing, I try to include everyone else and take their input and try to make it happen. So to Danielle's point, I'm gonna just tell you what's critical for this region to move forward. The city and the county got to come together on the things that don't have to do everything, but there are enough things here, and folks in this town know what I'm talking about. They have to come together because they're partners, right? And one is no greater than the other, right? It's all the same.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. As I said, if you have put questions in the chat and we haven't gotten to them, we will reply and make sure that we answer all of them. So if you have anything else you want to ask, please put it in the chat while it's still up. Or you can email us at the address that was on the media advisory that was sent out to everyone. Thank you again for joining us today, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you. And I appreciate everyone's time and attention today.